Oh, dear listener, good afternoon to you. And it's another jolly, marvelous day. I am Segilola. It's great to be back on Mindscope, and I trust that your day is going on well. I have good news for you today. Trust you've been waiting for me, right? You know, I always look forward to sharing beautiful moments with you. And so I've got good news for you this afternoon. And what is that good news? The good news is that the battle of autism can be won only if you fight with love, if you fight with faith and with hope for that child. Today we are looking at a very significant topic, and that is defeating autism. I must tell you that our guest today, she's a mother I have known to be strong. She's a courageous woman. She's a woman who has fought fearlessly with faith, with love, with hope to help our children, our 3 sons who were having symptoms of autism. Today, she has a brilliant testimony to share on Mindscope. It's a great privilege to introduce to you today on Mindscope Ugonna Sylvester-Ogan. She is the MD and she's the CEO of Souvenir Solutions Limited. And she is passionate about helping parents with autistic children. It's a great pleasure to have you on Mindscope, Ugonna.
Thank you for having me, Segilola.
How are you feeling this moment?
Yes, I'm feeling very well.
I've known you to always have a radiant face. And I remember when you gave me your book, I never understood what you had actually passed through. And that's why you never judge a book, by the cover.
Okay.
Reading your book, my whole spirit, was overwhelmed with joy.
Wow, thank God.
I got to a point whereby I could authoritatively say, no matter the challenge I see in any of my children, it's possible to overcome them.
Yes, so true.
So true.
Very true.
And that's the reason why you are here.
Yes.
Your 3 sons, they had symptoms of autism.
Yes.
Okay, let's start from the book. I want to first say, I want to commend you for, the fantastic ideas, the insight, the courage to even write this book.
Yeah.
Because you shared everything about yourself. You poured out your heart into this very book, Defeating Autism.
Yeah. So
Congratulations.
true. Oh, thank you.
I know only heaven can actually understand the depth of what you are doing. All right, let's go into what inspired you, what really brought out the urge to write a book on defeating autism.
Well, where it started, it was where I work in the church. I work with the children. So when I started working there, I just started noticing that, parents, when they drop their child, started noticing that, because I work with the 5-year class.
Okay.
Yeah, in the church. So once they drop their child and I notice that there's a child that is exhibiting that symptoms, I already know what. And then I normally see the countenance, like when they drop some, they don't even come to pick up their child because they don't even want to start hearing the story of what their child must have done. And then because that's what, because is for normally for teachers that are working there, if the child does anything, of course, when you come to pick up your child, they're going to tell you everything. Oh, he did that, he wasn't paying attention, you should just pour their heart. So I found out that most of the time when they keep hearing all those complaints, so sometimes they will not even come to pick that child. Maybe they'll just tell their house help, or maybe somebody else to pick up because you have to drop a card. So at the time I started noticing, and I was I have to start speaking up because I've known what I've went through, and I just have that empathy. I don't know what that person is feeling at that time. So I started with, when anybody's coming to pick up, I say, please, I want to see the mom of this child. I was constantly, succeeding in meeting them, and then when I tell them, there's kind of a hope in them, and they'll be like, wow, wow. So I kept on meeting one-on-one, and I just said, well, everybody needs to hear my story, because I didn't know there are a lot of people out there.
They have such challenge.
Yes, that had such challenge, and I found out that is because of the grace that God gave to me. Is something, is a huge task that you say, oh, okay, I have to sacrifice everything that I need to do to get these people get back to their feet. So it's something that you have to sacrifice. So I needed to tell my story so that they will see that it's not just a theory work, it's a practical work with the child.
So the urge to share your story gave birth to your book,
Yes,
Defeating Autism.
Yes.
Now let's listen to your story.
Okay. So where do I start from? Okay. When I was back in the East, that was in Aba, my first two kids, I was always noticing that whenever I dropped them in school, that's they were just non-verbal. They wouldn't talk, they wouldn't express themselves. So I just thought maybe it's just one of those things. So I was thinking, since my child, the first one, how they normally say, oh, if you don't take your child to school on time, they need to interact with other children. And when they start interacting, they need to help them to speak, to express themselves. So whenever I drop them, I just keep noticing, like they keep giving me feedback. Oh, they're throwing tantrums. They're not even express themselves. So when I start seeing other kids, of their age, I was saying that.
At what age? Oh, ages.
Let me say from
the first one.
The first one, from 1 to 7, you just know that he wasn't really like stabilized in expressing himself. Like a child comes back from school and tell you, oh, mommy, this is, from 2, 3, you should hear that the person is expressing himself. So I wasn't really hearing that. So it was kind of like, it wasn't easy. I was not finding it funny, and I was just like, what could be wrong with my child? Because, they will not sit well, kind of restless.
The two of them?
Yes, but the first one was more than the second one. Okay. But I can say that I helped this. The second one was milder because I had to tackle with the first child, my first child. So it's like if I'm attending to this, but I'm attending to him. Okay. So that's how his own was really very mild, than my first child. Way back, I didn't know what was autism. Truly, I was just thinking it's a character. So this helped me to do certain things for them. So I just thought is what a mother should do. When a child goes to school and they keep saying he's doing something, they're just looking at you like maybe you're a bad mother. Like maybe you're not training that child very well.
They kept calling you with negative reports.
Yes,
right?
Negative reports. And there's nobody to say, oh, okay, I know about autism, to say, oh, okay, not to do that report constantly. So as they do it, so I keep challenging myself. These children have to be on their feet. So once they go out to school and they come back, I'm creating another school inside the house. So I start from beginning. Oh, they said, they cannot know how to write 1, 2, 3. They don't know 1 + 1. Okay, so when they do theirs in school, when they come home, I do mine. Then my husband also helps, so that's how we're doing. And then we just kept on doing, and they got over it, and you couldn't see them and you say there's something wrong, with them. Okay. So it's by the time I came to Lagos, like with my last child, for him, his own was like, it was like a huge, like it was like 3 times what I have seen. His tantrum was so much. He's he could be restless, and his
class.
And because of the inability to express himself, he could just do something that is so terrible, hit his head on the wall, like get your attention. And sometimes, it wears you out because it's like you're expressing yourself for the child when the child is supposed to be expressing himself to you to ease you up. So when I came to Lagos, so trying to get a school for him. So once they put him in the school, because here, everybody, the awareness is very, very...
It's coming up, it's increasing.
It's increasing. So once I put them in the school, and they were like, oh, okay, I think this is autism. So I kept on here, I think this is autism. So I had to go home, just check it out. Do my research. And I was just seeing all those symptoms. I said, wow, this is what my first 2 went through. Wow. Yeah. So when I went to that, but the main thing that helped me, even in knowing autism, I had to, because of the way I place my mind, I'm a very, very positive person. In the midst of whatever I'm seeing, I'm very positive. After doing that research, I had to also go and to do another research of people that are autistic. What are the positive traits in them?
Okay. Let's understand from your research.
Yes.
So how would you explain autism?
Okay. For me, for what I understand what autism is a temporal condition that involves kind of persistent challenges in social interaction, speech, nonverbal communication, and kind of a restricted behavior that you find in early childhood, like say from 2-3. So that's just what you have to look out. Because I normally tell parents, don't wait until when it's full blown and they tell you that it's autism. Find this trait 2 to 3, and then you decide that you have to sacrifice. You have to leave whatever you're doing and then focus on that child to get that person back to normal. Because when people see my children, they think, oh, okay. I mean, could it be that this child went through that and they are just as normal as nothing, happened to them? So I said it's just because of the grace, because of my mindset, because I started with the end in mind, and I was like, I can't face this thing and not have a solution for it.
I want to read some lines from your book right in front of me. Some of your challenges. Here, this on the second page, it says there was so much stigma from the society and the environment towards my kids. The stigma of being laughed at in school by other kids. The stigma of not behaving normally like other kids in the school, or seeming to lack home training.
Yes.
Stigma about whether you had done something wrong in the past, which has resulted in your kids behaving this way.
Yes.
How were you able to, how would I say, survive, pass through the stigma itself? Do you understand what I'm saying? Because these are deep issues.
That could be depressing if you ask.
Yes. From almost every side.
Yeah.
Yes, but there's something I normally believe, that there is nothing that is impossible with God. So I've always had that belief right from time. So even when I was seeing all those things, I was just always telling myself, God, you're in charge. You gave me these children. You are the manufacturer. And then you're going to prove yourself that what you have created in them is going to come out, to surpass what the feeling, the emotional distress that I'm having as for that now. I had a picture of the future placed in front of you of how beautiful my children are going to be. My boys are going to be. So when a teacher comes and you start complaining to that child, because there was a stigma that it wasn't funny. I think they asked a question, what is hospitality? That's to show you that if you say that an autistic child is not learning anything, that is very wrong. They learn at every time, even if they're not expressing themselves. So the teacher asked, what is hospitality? And then my first son, I think he was was he 5 or 6 or something? I think he was 5. So he raised up his hand, and they were like, wow, this is somebody that, he just raised up. He didn't, he just fell on the floor, did like somebody that is in the hospital.
Oh my goodness.
And they started laughing.
Expressing himself.
Yes.
Oh my, with gestures.
And they started laughing.
He was painting a picture.
Yes.
He was painting a picture. That's to show you that the brain of these children are very, very imaginative. So you have to understand with them, and you have to work with them, and according to how they are thinking, before you work with them in their own world, before you now work with them to come out and work with you in your own world. Wow. So for that teacher to see me and then start laughing, I said, your child is so funny. I did not find it funny.
About that.
And from that day, I made a vow. I said, you people will see that this child will come out well.
You know why people need to be very sensitive?
Yes.
Exactly.
To the teacher, that was funny. But not funny to you as a mother.
It wasn't. And once you see me picking them up, it's always straight-faced. It's just now that I'm just you be so jovial, because sometimes when somebody is going through a lot, it's either when you're looking at the person's face, there's a decision the person has made in her mind. It's not about that person wants to look so boning and stuff. It's because of what you're going through. But it depends on how you're placing it.
Okay.
If you're placing it positively,
okay,
when you go into your house, there's a joy that you're doing something for these children.
This is fantastic.
Yes.
Dear listener, you're still listening to Mindscope on Echo 89.7 FM. I am Segilola and I'm working with Emmanuel. Our dear guest today is Ugonna Sylvester-Ogan, and she is a passionate mother who counsels parents with autistic children. And today we are discussing defeating autism. She's narrating an inspiring story. I'm still going through the book, the tantrums, because I need to paint this picture. Where we are going right now is the positive traits in the midst of this crisis, while you were going through to recover and to help your children overcome this autistic challenge. You mentioned in your book that anytime your kids are in class, they don't sit down. There are times, they are all over. And then there was a particular case for your youngest son. He was rejected from school. He was sent home.
Yeah. Not really rejected. A school that you're already part of. You have done first term, you have done second term, and then you saw before and this like somebody that's a professional
teacher
teacher that the person that introduced me, I knew that the person was a professional, so I was happy. Oh, this person knows about autism. That means you can handle my child more than I have done before. So there's no need of me stressing myself. So I put my last son in that school first. So she did the first term and second term, and I just kept on getting complaint from that lady. And I was like, wow, if you have gone for courses in the US, I have known about autism, and just me, I'm just a mother that just decided to be taking care of my children,
to help your children.
I said, why are you complaining? That is always everywhere. I said, but you could use different instrument, papers, toys to just keep him calm, because there's not children that will be very comfortable with just one toy.
The learning style.
They just want different things to keep them activated. And she said I should have to go to Yaba psychiatric hospital, and I should give him a medication. So that was for my last child. So I said, I've never done that. I can never do that.
And so you had to take your child. You said in the book they brought your child with a school bus.
Yes. So one day she said, don't bring your child. Meanwhile, other children are still going. It's always to the end of the term. And then you have like 2 weeks. You know how children will still be going to school. So my first two kids, they are there. And he also goes to school, the same school, because my first two kids, they were still in primary school, all the same school. So how would I take my first two kids? And you think that they didn't go through what he went through, and then you just want to keep the ones that's already made. So he said I should not bring my last kid. So that was impossible, because he said I should check him if he's really feeling well. But I knew there was nothing. I checked him throughout the weekend. It wasn't. So the first two dressing up for school, and he gets up. And this kind of kid, they don't talk. So he saw them putting on uniform. It's the same uniform he puts on. So why would he be? He was strong. He put on his own uniform. So how will I drop him? How will I leave him? So I took him to school. So I didn't know that she was very upset that I didn't listen to what she had told me. So I was in the bank, and then my sister gave me a call by 10 a.m. and said the school bus brought him back. That the lady said he has warned me, and then why am I bringing him back? And I've never used school bus to take my children to school and bring it. I go myself, and that was really very risky.
What I want to bring out from this is, why were you adamant? You didn't put your children in a special school, possibly. Why the regular school?
Why I put them in the regular school? Because children with this kind of character, they are very imaginative. So whatever they see, they take in. It's within before without. So I needed them to be seeing other kids doing the right things, like coordinating themselves in the way they're supposed to be coordinating, even while they are still in that character. I needed them to be seeing that picture most of the time. So sometimes, even when children, they will laugh. So my first son told me that it helped him, because even when they laugh at him, he's always wondering what is wrong with me. So sometimes you have to allow these children to challenge themselves, that they need to come out to our own world.
Thank you. Let's look briefly at some of the teaching strategies you actually employed to help your children understand their homework. One of the points you mentioned, you were dramatizing or making cartoons out of their school assignments.
Yes, yeah.
So what do you want to say to a parent who is listening, who possibly has a child who is autistic?
Oh, okay. One thing I have to tell the parents is that just know that when you're working with that child, it's not about the theory of whatever you have about the child, is the practical work. So I normally tell people, like, no matter how you read about how to swim in a swimming pool, you read it, you have already known all the theories and everything,
exactly.
And then you decide to get into the swimming pool, you are going to sink. Yeah. So I just realized that, since they are already acting like they're doing cartoon, like for themselves. Okay. So I need to bring them in to act like them.
Wow. So
that they will see, but I'm doing it in a way and educating them, So you have to first of all get their interest, and then then use it in an educational form. Yes.
Environment. The right environment.
So I always tell parents that education is really, really very necessary for these children, no matter how they're acting. Just try, if you have to write 1, 2, 3 on your ceiling, and the child is looking up, that child keep looking at it, and as he's looking, start teaching. There's no particular time, there's no particular way.
So you need to create that right environment in your house.
In your house.
The home has to be right.
Yes, you don't have to. And I keep saying, if you're a very prim and proper parent that is, you want this to be like that, it's going to take time for your child to recover. You just have to make like that
sacrifice.
Okay. Your sitting room, if they decide that is the sitting room that they have to learn. So make everywhere like a school. You can paint it, you can put 1, 2, 3 on 8. Okay. So there's no particular time that they are ready to learn. I told you of how my last child learned how to write A. A is for apple and the drawing. It was always when we get into the church, it's always very frustrating. And he gets a book for me, and he gives me a pencil, and he tells me write.
Wow, that is inspiring.
So I start writing A, and then you write the whole apple, and they draw an apple.
We are running out of time. Yes. I know that you have a lot to share, but what you have even said, every word here is quoted with love, with passion.
Yes.
And I need to round up with one of your experiences here. Anytime your youngest son, draws, anytime he makes a mistake, it begins to be violent, aggressive, and is making noise, tears of everything. And it got to a point you were almost overwhelmed, by that situation.
Yes.
But you said you had more of a divine revelation.
Yes.
And so the next time he displayed such, you joined him in tearing off and making all the noise. And ever since that, the tantrum stopped.
Yes.
Tell me, what brought that out for you as we round up?
Okay, it starts with having empathy.
Oh God.
Taking yourself as the child is behaving.
Empathy.
Yes. What if I'm the one?
In the shoes of that child. So the child wants to communicate, and that inability not to turns into more of aggression and the tantrum.
Yes, because you can see a child. If a child makes a mistake in drawing, you can say, "Mommy, I'm making such a mistake,"
exactly.
And then you please come and help me.
So that was it.
And then he skips getting into himself. He doesn't know what to tell you.
So ability to express oneself is healthy.
So it was very difficult for me to stop, because at the time I was spanking. At the time I was doing a lot of things, but I had to go to God. I tell people, for you to help this child succeed fully, you have to be taking that child to God each and every time. Oh Lord, he's throwing tantrums. What do I do? Oh Lord, he doesn't want to eat meat. What do I do? So I had to get myself down, and I
on your knees,
and I say, Lord, what do I do? I say, go tear with him.
Oh my goodness!
Once he start, tear with him, and tear even more violently than he's doing.
And he got the message,
yes,
because you understood his language, and you shared the pain with him.
Yes, and I did it in the language that he wants to understand at that time.
Wow! Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I am blessed